Hello, everyone. Welcome to my talk, Autism, Teams and Socials. And so let's start the ball. So, short intro. Who am I? So I'm Danny de Klerk, and I'm a developer and president of the DSoft. And the DSoft is a non-profit in Belgium, and I want to talk a bit more about the DSoft later in this talk. You will see why. Not to make too much advertise for ourselves, no, just because it really fits in the story of what we are doing with Autism, Teams, and Socials. I'm a Microsoft MVP, but not in Teams or in Office apps and service. I'm in developer technologies. And I really came from a background of being a developer for software, apps and software for people with disabilities. I'm quite famous of my hashtag Dreaming is Believing on Twitter, and that was all about my dream to become a world-known conference speaker. And also on Twitter, I have the hashtag, I am the Twitter handle Danny de Klerk. And the picture here, my new speaker picture that you see on the slide, just talking last week when I had the honor to be at an in-person conference again in Germany. It's on the stages, And so we already had the intro. So we start with a prequel, why we are coming to this talk, by example, and some things, figuring out a bit about the DSoft. I'm going to talk about autism and Microsoft Teams, about social fun and Microsoft Teams. As I promised, there is a slide about playing DJ in your PJ. I'm not lying if I promise something in the abstract. And then I'm going to talk about to be hybrid, and there will be time to thank you for Q&A. So quite a lot of agenda points for a talk of 30 minutes. So let's start the prequel for today. So the DSoft is an organization that takes care of what we're doing is the connection between the social industry and IT. And what do we see as social industry? By example, organizations for not only people with disabilities, also for like self-support groups or other social cases, people with addiction, or even psychologists. So this is a social job, for example, and they don't have a lot of IT knowledge. Most of the time, most of them don't have any IT knowledge at all. These are some examples. Also, for example, a massage, therapeutics, we help. And we are really working on the IT coaching mindset. There's an own methodology and mindset that we are working on. And we really need understand the needs of the social industry, because most of the time they are afraid from the tech companies or from the most of the tech businesses, and we understand them. We are a non-profit with 4 volunteers, myself included as the president. And 3 of those are on the autism spectrum, have an autism diagnosis. And we ourselves, the DSoft, really have quite of a Microsoft Teams history. And we started with Teams internal for ourselves really quite from the start. We started with the hybrid meeting. We started with doing all our administration in Teams and sharing all our documents. And for this it was really great, because we are working from our own home and not all the same hours a day. As a volunteer, just to be honest, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not 38 hours. Sometimes it's not only 10 hours, or some people. And we all contribute what we can and when we can and how we can. And we didn't have SharePoint knowledge. We also didn't need to learn, because with Microsoft Teams, it's really, really easy to start. So our administration, sharing documents, and even we all really did before the pandemic hybrid meetings. And what we mean is, even at that time, our team was only 3 persons. And we wanted to have monthly, at least bi-monthly meetings. But one of our coworkers, or co-volunteers, I call them coworkers, don't have a car, or have a very, very car that so with the maximum thing, so with the maximum speed of 30 kilometers per hour. And she lives not so close by me, and especially not with public transport. And sometimes coming to the meeting is quite of an effort, and then having the meeting and then coming home in the evening late, maybe night, because we do the meetings at the evening, because another worker of our team has also a full-time paid job, one of us only. And so the meetings need to be in the evening. But he is also my best friend next to that he's in my nonprofit. So he don't want to do virtual. We want to be together. And having two devices on my living table and one device to work on the meeting and one device sometimes streaming virtual that the other person can join. We already did that before the pandemic just for time capacity reasons. So and as you will see, I will talk about hybrid in the future. And sometimes we all together on the same table, physical, and sometimes we are all on the same table, virtual, and sometimes it's hybrid. We play with it, and because all our documentation is in Teams, we can play with it as much as we want. And I want to talk a bit about the pandemic. And I say, because I was starting about the DSoft, I continue the first to the white column about the DSoft. So in the pandemic, really in the pandemic in Belgium of the fifth wave, the first wave of the COVID, it is the first lockdown. We did the announcement on our social media that we have Teams knowledge. And we really have a huge increase of customers. And we even hosted virtual meetings. Of course, that also led it into an increase of budget. And I can say that we, for the first time, was getting known in Belgium. Before that, I was way more known myself as a person and international as a public speaker since 2017. But that was the first time that we really get known as the DSoft in Belgium. And of course, it's a good thing. And we are started also at the time with the IT coaching methodology. But I have other talks about that, and I presented some talks about it, but that's not scope of this talk today. I'm going to talk about me, myself, and we need to add and I, but we don't do that in the slides because it sounds so cliche. And honestly, I really had, or have not only had, a severe increase of my anxiety. Next to my autism, I have an anxiety disorder. If the pandemic wasn't there, I shouldn't need really help for this. Due to the pandemics taking longer and longer, it was the time that I really need to seek professional help for that. And I really missed in-person conferences, yes, like hell, I can say that. And even I admit, I did working for customers, not only for the good or for budget, but as an escape. Virtual conferences better than boredom. And then I'm not talking about this one because I think the mixture is the future, and maybe it's also kind of hybrid, sometimes going in person and sometimes going to bench a virtual one. But 2 years only virtual ones, yes, maybe it was not always good. Better than boredom and thinking about things that make you anxious. But be sure we are all in need for social contact. And people with autism or without autism, people are just social species. And even myself, I am extroverted. And most of the known people on the autism spectrum are introverted. So I need way more external incentives. But even introverted people really are saying, even after a year or a year and a half of the pandemic, we miss folk, we miss human contact. And a virtual meeting is for me not the same as a webinar. A meeting is really having interaction with each other. And people are in search of connections. And not only for me, but you see a lot of people really admitting it, and even people who are not admitting it but having it. There's a really increase of mental health issues due to loneliness, due to the pandemic. So that was the prequel for today, and starts with the first main part, that is autism and Microsoft Teams. And everything for the slide right now, and so this part, Autism and Teams, Socials and Teams, and even the hybrid, to be hybrid, will be a potpourri of topics, really loosely coupled separate topics who have something to do with Teams or with virtual meetings, and not really structured. So really potpourri things or insight that I had with in these cases. And I hope you like this. So the first coming out my potpourri is virtual backgrounds. And here I can say that there are pros and contras. Contra, let's talk first with the contra. I did a video, I heard from a lot of people with autism and also from coaches and therapists working with people with autism, that sometimes the contrast of people, that they feel that people are pasted on the background, that it doesn't feel real. And it has something to do with overlay and other stuff and incentives. To be honest, I don't have it. But if I talk about autism in my talks, I never talk only about me because I'm not autism. I am a person having autism. So, and it's a very broad spectrum. And for this talk, I didn't include the whole explanation of autism. I have other talks that I do this, but yeah, no, I just focus on teams and socials and so you always can look me on Google on or Bing it, and then you come on YouTube. Also, if you want to see talks about me about autism, where we explain more about autism itself. But the contrasts are there, but there are also pros. I really do know, you really do know that I am working at the sort of people with social backgrounds. I call it the social industry. And sometimes it's really needed or it's a really wishful thing to hide your social environment where you live, for example. Sometimes you can be really ashamed for the living room where you live. For example, poverty or living with people, privacy, living with people in the same room and not having a separate room. And then you can say, is this needed? Should people be ashamed for where they live? Of course not. And no, but we are really talking not about only about work, but other things, and they shouldn't be ashamed. But it's better that if they are ashamed, that they can join with virtual backgrounds, or that they just don't join. I know people, it is joining with virtual background or with the cam off, also a topic in my loiter talk, or not joining because they are too ashamed. And that is better that they join and maybe hide something, even they shouldn't. It's better than not joining and really being disconnected. The other use case for virtual backgrounds that I did a lot is in branding. And so I really love to put a picture of a real in-person conference room where I was. So if I'm at conferences, I take a lot of pictures and then having a picture as a background. And for me, myself, or my mental mood, doing that branding, by example, of a conference room, a real one, a physical stage, the brandings can cause that I have a boost in my mental health. And about positive, let's say, well, a good thing about the virtual meetings and the virtual COVID thing, that's eye contact. As most of you know, it's well known that people with autism most of the time can have difficulties with eye contact. And I'm really one of those. And it's so great in the pandemic because in virtual meetings, there's nothing issue with eye contact at all. Looking to your computer screen, where above there's a camera, is baked in my laptop and my device. And it's really not the same as making eye contact, even in one-on-one meetings or with four people. It isn't there, the feeling of eye contact. And I know at in-person conferences, I always say sometimes if people want to talk to me after my talk, I'm a bit of a shame because eye contact is so difficult and it takes a lot of resources. So virtual meetings, yes, nice for eye contact. You don't have it. I can look into your eyes and I see you and you, yeah, you know. So they are good things too. But come back again about more. I might try to find a balance because really funny things and not so funny things. And now, for me, if we talking about serious topic, for example, on meetings with my coach, in the first lockdown, my autism coach or my coach for my autism wasn't allowed to come to my home, and I wasn't allowed to come to her. And the first meetings with my coach were awful. It was really difficult and I really didn't have any feeling of connection. There is way less verbal, non-verbal feedback, I mean, with less non-verbal feedback. And I call it the feedback loop of trust. If you're having person having a conversation, for example, about a difficult topic or a serious topic, you have the kind of feedback loop of you feel if you say something, how she reacts or how he reacts or how the person reacts, and yeah, that was awesome, awful. and it can lead that you are not you have difficulties for really feeling be vulnerable and saying your darkest thoughts of your deepest emotions. I also heard from older people, for example, they need to go to the psychologist, and they also said, no, I really want to postpone a month because, yeah, then lockdown here will be over, and then I can go in person. What are you thinking? It shouldn't be the case, because if you need to go to a psychologist, that's time that you are having trouble or having issues or having, yeah, things in your mind. And if you then say, I want to wait a month because it's not possible for me, it is there and I can understand, but yeah, it's not that great, Alia. Let's talking about cam on or cam off. As I said, it's a potpourri. It's not only about complaining, it's about funny things. It's potpourri things coming in my mind. I started with a note here for this talk. Here we speak again about non-professional work-related topics. And with non-professional work, I mean sometimes volunteer work as a ish thing, or I work with an organization with a lot of entrepreneurs or starting social entrepreneurs, and maybe that is non-professional or semi-professional work. It's not the normal day-to-day job, let's say. And I talk also about autism self-support groups and virtual non-org semi-professional get-togethers. And then you say cam on or cam off. And for people who are colorblind, sorry, the cam on, I put it in green because, yeah, you think also in green about good things. And cam off, I put it in red. Yeah, but it's what it is. And because advantages, disadvantages, and both have advantages and disadvantages, like nearly everything in life. So let's start with cam on. There is more non-verbal feedback. There is really less non-verbal feedback if you compare to impersonal things, but there is some kind of non-verbal feedback. So there is more attention. People who are need to turn their cam on are more engaging, there's more attention. And even sometimes then they can't call their leader or their boss's attention control. I don't say it's a good thing, but it's also don't have to be bosses. Also, for example, if you're talking about something personal or if something telling you something really personal, maybe you will be sure that he is really listening and not just saying hi. But that can cause, or that causes that less people are joining. People really don't want to turn their cam on or even don't have virtual backbone because their device is too low. I really also think about people who are less financially privileged, and some you need kind of kind of a new device for virtual backgrounds, and not really new, no, but some people like going to self support groups who are not doing an IT job but needing contact are really maybe in a laptop of 10 years old. It happens. So come off, yeah. The disadvantage, yes, yeah. There's no non-verbal feedback at all. But yeah, that leads that more people are joining. But the other thing is there can be less trust. By example, if you are let's imagine you are holding a self support group, and the rule is that nobody outside of the group is allowed, even in person. Like example, we also help the alcoholic anonymous, the anonymous alcoholics. Oh my God, my spelling today. The anonymous alcoholics. There, the reason that you really cannot join if you're not identified by that kind of problem or issue or thing. And that's the rule there. But then if you are doing the cam off, are you sure that your spouse is not in the room? Or that your children are not in the room, but seeing other people? Another thing, really some people are just too shy to cam. So it's not pro, it's not contra, just things to think about if you say if camming mandatory or not. So we are going to continue about social fun and Microsoft Teams. So I will talk about open houses, and I just called it virtual pub nights. Yeah, I did it for a customer. There was a customer that we needed to be the open pub host for the virtual pub. The good thing is we were paid for that as a bartender or the team host. You can also have some fun and doing something. But also about self-support groups, alcohol, about autism, and about parents with lost children, by example, we worked for. And it will be a portfolio again of things that happened, good things, bad things, just thoughts. Some thoughts just so log in. Um, it, there were people really complaining there were not spontaneous ad hoc login. And if you have all your people, so they need to do meetings, and your MS Teams tenant, it is easier. Even in the beginning when you started, it was really needed. But even then, if people or if it's not needed anymore, but they are in the tenant, there are still errors, definitely by non-experienced users, and by example, users with only a tablet or a smartphone or a really kind of an old computer. And even if they are the Teams environment, and then maybe then you need to have a call, set up a call, or set up even Teams viewer to just connect them or invite them. And I want to note that here we speak about the Teams usage and between March 2020 and March 2021. And during the fall 2021, there really were general improvements. I heard from customers there that there was another lockdown. That is better to log in and joining the meeting. So it was getting better. And just the question is to drink or not to drink. Yeah, it's a real question because it was a really heavy LinkedIn topic. It was a really heavy LinkedIn discussion anno 2020 and plus. I just want to say my vision. And what I saw from customers, from people using meetings, and it's quite, for social gatherings, it's okay. If you do virtual pub nights or open houses, yeah, it's kind of not really mandatory. They then cannot mandate that. And people who are not drinking alcohol are, of course, also allowed, but it's a common thing. If you have, for example, a Teams call or a virtual meeting for a community talk and there's an after drink, sometimes it happens. It's okay. If you have a birthday party, by example, because you are not allowed to a person at home or you cannot. So my statement is, to drinking or not, is it allowed or a done thing? It's just really simple. It's not which tool you use, but what you do and in which atmosphere. Is it a normal work day, a normal work environment? Is it a free time activity? Is it a family gathering? So it's not a virtual meeting or a Teams call or a Zoom call and drinking and not know. It's what are you doing? And then the tool is just, and I really believe in the thing that we need to fake the real world as much as possible or bring the real world as much as possible to the virtual thing. So is it a pub night, the virtual format? I guess there will be drinks. If it's a family meeting, and normally you do that with the family, I guess there will be drinks. And normal at your normal day-to-day job, I guess there will be no drinks. At the promised slide, PJs and DJs. Did you try the following? And honestly, I did all of those for customers. And even just joining, then they were just a user of something, another that I was customer of a user. And DJ or music gatherings, online escape games, word games, lovely word games I played. Quizzes, and even get-togethers in PJ. Honestly, been there, done that. I need to be, but in environments that it should be something in real life too. As I said, it's even here. It's not a tool that you use, but what you are doing, and even virtual calls until 3 a.m. Let's imagine, and I'm not only talking about virtual, also virtual conferences from another region of the world. It's also there, but also, by example, the virtual pub nights that we have, the open houses. Yeah, it's like in a real pub. Always the same people stay at last and having fun together. And if you do that nights on a Friday evening, yeah, sometimes Saturday morning, yeah, 3 a.m., been there, done that. I tried also, I played with virtual coffees with family, non-tech users. Just about random stuff, seeing our grandchildren, grandparents, seeing family. I also want to talk about trust and safety. And I really can say that Microsoft Teams is the safest video conference tool. And it's just perfect where privacy and discretion is needed. And we had 2 customers that it was a really big plus comparing, yeah, I just called the competitor Zoom. Even for them, a Zoom link would be very easier to attract more people to them, or to people was easier to join at that time. But the privacy thing really was a thing. We are doing it with Teams, and we just need to help the people. And I think that's really a big case for Microsoft even to do maybe even more promotion on. Just so we all know the term, and we all heard about Zoom bombing. Does everyone heard about Teams bombing? If we saw in the Belgium news, journals, if there were, for example, by politicians, virtual meetings because they were not allowed to come together in the pandemic or they had in quarantine, it was always Teams. It was no other tool. So yeah, that's a good thing. The last part of this talk, as I promised, to be hybrid. I want to say, if there are questions and Q&A questions, I don't really know, but maybe we can hold it to the additional minutes so that I can give some more time, some more 4 minutes about just content. I hope you love this. So we have plans, and I'll be trying and experimenting with it with the Autism meetup. I am a member of Autism meetup, where one of the co-workers of Autism is the lead of that Autism meetup. So it's nothing from the DSoft, but yeah, we of course have a really deep. And if there's something about tech, she knows that I'm the tech man. And to be sure, what I mean here, some people in person in the same meeting, and some people joining virtual. There are advantages, for example, for people not needing to take public transport if they don't have a car. They also are not needed to be a long way from home or to stay up really late at night. So in that case, it's more accessible and more inclusive for people to join the party. And then I will talk about Kinect and lectures. And we do dream, and here we also already starting it and playing it. And if I say we, I take about the collaboration of me, the DSoft, and my other member for the Autism meetups. And we really do, so we take out, if I say we, is both. We really do dream about external speakers more. So we have it 2 weeks ago. We had an external speaker who was not willing or not wanting, or it was not the best thing to join. And I really invited her to give a session, but we came all together because we needed the people at Autism Peer some sense of belonging, and it was allowed. It is allowed in Belgium. Right now, in Belgium, there's quite a lot allowed. I'm happy for that. But even we tried further, but we didn't do that last time. But you can even do, for example, using a Kinect device, for example, and face this on the in-person audience. I tried it sometimes, but not that time 2 weeks ago. And you can even go further and add an additional screen. And then on the additional screen, you can project the home audience, so the people who are joining online. So I think there's really a future there, and definitely for the DSoft and in combination with the Autism meetup, we really do have plans about the hybrid. I think the future is hybrid. And it can be in both ways. It can be on the same meeting, the same conference, but it's hybrid for me is also maybe attending some conferences really in person and some completely virtual, because maybe in the past you only did in-person things. So, and I think hybrid will be the future for a long time. And I said before, to recap, at the DSoft we already were hybrid from really the beginning on administration point, or when we are working, and if someone is not able to come for an evening and time and transport issues, so even before the pandemic. So maybe the future is not hybrid, but we are already there already, or we're coming back to there. I want to thank you for this talk. If you go to https://autism and socials, autism teams and socials, like here, you have the slides, so you can already download the slides. So I'm on Twitter, very active, and I with my handle Adeli de Klerk and the hashtag Dreaming is Believing. You can send me a mail, or you just can say here and put your questions in the chat, or even say it, unmute yourself. And of course, I want to ask you to rate my session, give me some feedback. What can I do better? What did I do well? What to think about? That's great for the conference organizers, but also for the speakers that they know is this really what they want. As I said, normally I don't speak about Microsoft Teams and I don't speak in Teams conferences, so maybe it's not what you wanted, or it's just what you want. I need to do it more. So thank you.